is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Fox Sports.
With a Major League All-Star game in the record books, tonight we greet you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Target Field, where the Rays and the Minnesota Twins pick up play in the regular season of 2014 in the American League East, where no team appears to want to take charge. Baltimore up over Toronto by 4, New York and the Rays and the Red Sox. It's competitive in an interesting sort of way. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson. I'm Dwayne Statz. Well, the Rays are attempting to keep hope alive, and they feel as they enter the final 65 games of the regular season, BA, they still have a shot. In fact, the last month, they played very well, and they have been led by good offensive production.
Well, look at these numbers right here. When you think about the Rays as a ball club, pitching staff, check. Defense is going to travel. Offense has been the issue, but if you go over the last 30 games, those numbers are plenty good enough. The 4.5 runs a game, if you extrapolate that over a season, that would be good enough for 4th in the American League right now. You love the average. They've done a better job with runners in scoring position. If they can continue that, they're going to make things real interesting here in the last 65 games.
Yeah, the other side of that coin is outstanding pitching, and that has come into shape for the Rays recently. Tonight, Alex Cobb goes to the hill.
Yeah, and Alex Cobb has said, listen, I'm starting to feel more rhythmic out on the mound, better tempo, and that's starting to show in his results. His last 6 starts, you see the record, the ERA, a couple of the numbers behind the scenes that I like. Almost a strikeout an inning, 34 strikeouts in 35 innings. He's missing bats at a high rate once again, and also 3 earned or fewer in 5 of the 6 starts. Has been much more consistent. And he's going to have a chance tonight to really get the jump on this Minnesota lineup because it is the most patient lineup in Major League Baseball. If he is sharp early, he's going to be able to work ahead, and then that changeup comes into play, and good luck with that thing.
Well, part of the Rays' philosophy is if you wear a uniform, you're going to play not only in the Major League roster, but even dipping into the minor leagues. And the Rays have made a roster move. Todd Callis with more on that. Baseball on Sun Sports is presented by Toyota. Let's go places. By Philly Flavor, Small Price, Checkers, Philly Cheesesteak, and the new Chicken Philly. Each just $1.99. And by your Tampa Bay area Mazda dealers. It takes convincing, creativity, and courage to build cars worth driving. This is the Mazda way. From Minneapolis, the Rays and the Twins meet here for the second time this year in the season series. First time this season in Minneapolis. Right now, let's go to the field and Todd Callis.
Thanks, Dwayne. The Durham to the Tampa Bay Rays shuttle has been very busy this year. Today, the 11th different rookie will put on a uniform for Tampa Bay. A guy who was last year at the Florida State League with the Charlotte Stone Crabs, Curt Casale, and then he goes up this year from AA to AAA before getting the call. Ryan Hannigan, they were hoping to get that left oblique strain going, but it just wouldn't quite recover, so he goes on the 15-day DL retro to July 9th. Here's Casale about learning the news from his AAA manager.
It's hard to describe for me. My AAA manager made a pretty cool gesture about it yesterday and told everybody in front of the whole team before a stretch, and that made it more memorable in my eyes. But I'm just really excited to finally be here and hopefully give this chance a team to win and keep the success going like they've had.
So Charlie Montoyo gives him the news while they were in Gwinnett County, Georgia. He flies to Minnesota. He's got his parents, 2 brothers, and his girlfriend here, and we're ready for baseball. It'll be Alex Cobb on the mound to kick off the proverbial second half next.
Rays begin the proverbial second half of the season with a 5-game road trip. 3 here in Minnesota and then 2 in St. Louis against the Cardinals. There will be a couple of off days in the mix before the Rays return home. Tonight it's the Rays and the Twins, and we'll take a look at the starting lineup for the Rays presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Desmond Jennings leads off in center, followed by Ben Zobrist and Matt Joyce, Evan Longoria, James Loney, and Yunel Escobar down the middle. Cole Figueroa gets a start at second. Kurt Casale up from the minor leagues will do the catching. Kevin Kiermaier in right will bat ninth.
And they'll be going up against the right-hander for the Minnesota Twins, Kyle Gibson, making his 19th start of the season, 8-7 record, 3.92 earned run average. The inning total just over 100 at 101. Breaking ball, changeup, but the main pitch, the main fare is his sinker. Try to keep the ball on the ground.
And the first pitch of this game, presented by Pinch-A-Penny, is a sinker, and it's down and away out of the strike zone. Ball one. A couple of 26-year-old right-handers matching up in this one to start the weekend series in Minneapolis. 1-1 the count to Jennings. It's a ball and 2 strikes. I saw a shot of Joe Madden there just a moment ago, the Rays skipper, who opens this game and this road trip, admitting the Rays have few, if any, mulligans left. It's all about winning series by series.
When you think about the All-Star break, you think the midway point, but we're far past that.
Yep.
The Rays 97 games in, tied with the Dodgers for the most games played in Major League Baseball. They only have 65 left. So really, baseball's a marathon. This is the point where you start to pick up the pace.
Jennings has worked the full count here against Gibson. Starting this game, beautiful night, 78 degrees. The wind out of the south at 16 miles per hour. Jennings out on strikes. Gibson strikes him out with a fastball.
Well, 92 miles an hour. This is where Gibson wants to be with this sinker all night long, down in the zone. You see him start that pitch just above the thighs, breaking it down, actually late sink down towards the knees. And if he can work that pitch, you're going to get your fair share of swings and misses like he got from Jennings. You're also going to get a lot of ground balls.
Well, here's Zobrist, been up in the number 2 spot. First pitch is a strike, and that one hit 94.
Well, Gibson's last start before the All-Star break was against Seattle, out in Seattle. He went 6 shutout and picking up that 8th win. And really the Twins, impressive road trip before the break. One of the teams that did not want to take the 4 days off.
Yep, they were 5-2 in a trip through Seattle and Colorado. Ground ball. It's Dozier making the play, moving to his right. 2 gone.
Well, let's take a quick look at the Twins defense as it lines up tonight, brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In the outfield, left to right, old friend Sam Fuld, Danny Santana, and Oswaldo Arcia. Across the infield, third to first, we have Trevor Plouffe, Eduardo Escobar, Brian Dozier, and Kendrys Morales. Kurt Suzuki will be behind the plate.
And there's our old friend Sam Fuld out there in left field.
Our old partner.
That's right. He explained the whole metrics and all of that to us one day. We need a refresher course, so we'll have to chat with him while we're in town. He's been red hot, by the way. Here's a ground ball on the first pitch. Joyce hits it on the ground to Dozier, who throws him out. We go to the bottom half of the first. No score. Gardenhire, the skipper of the Minnesota Twins. He has his Minnesota club in at 44 and 50. 10.5 back. And for your Southern Ford dealers, there's Gardenhire's lineup. Danny Santana back. He'll be in center field. Brian Dozier hits second at second. Then Kendrys Morales, Trevor Plouffe, Oswaldo Arcia, Josh Willingham down the middle. He's the DH, with Kurt Suzuki, Eduardo Escobar, and Sam Fuld completing the Minnesota card.
Well, taking the mound tonight for the Tampa Bay Rays, making his 14th start of the season, right-hander Alex Cobb, 4-6 record, 4.14 earned run average, has been throwing the ball much better lately, more consistent. We mentioned in the open, 5 of his last 6 starts, he's given up 3 earned runs or fewer, and coming off a start before the break against the Royals, where he pitched into the 7th inning, 6 2/3, giving up just 2 earned runs. Got a no decision in that game, but certainly pitched well enough to win.
So here's Santana, and the first pitch is a strike. The Twins like Santana both on the infield and in the outfield. He's playing center field. They like him as a shortstop. He had some problems with his right wrist. It was surgically repaired.
Well, he just was activated from the disabled list. Missed a couple of weeks. And it was funny because you're right. He goes on his rehab assignment in 3 games. He plays a couple in center, 1 at short. Ready to go. Here he is. Very versatile Minnesota Twin.
He's an energy guy in their lineup. A little like Kiermaier has been for the Rays. He gets this lineup rolling from that leadoff spot. There's Kiermaier playing right field tonight for the Rays.
Well, we've seen the impact that Kiermaier can have. A guy like with that kind of energy and enthusiasm.
Figueroa takes care of that little chopper. Out number 1.
Now let's take a look at the Rays defense. Tonight brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In the outfield, left to right, Ben Zobrist, Desmond Jennings, and Kevin Kiermaier. Across the infield, third to first, Evan Longoria, Yunel Escobar, Cole Figueroa, and James Loney. Kurt Casale gets the call behind the plate tonight for the Rays.
Well, he's settling in quite nicely behind the plate here. 3 pitches, now 4 pitches in, and 1 hitter, making his major league debut. Pitch upstairs, 1-0. It's a time he will never forget, making his major league debut.
Yeah, Joe Madden wasting no time getting him into the lineup.
Best way to do it.
Yeah, give him no time to think about it. Here you are, you're ready to go.
1-1.
Well, that is so true. You bring a young guy up, and all of a sudden you put him on the bench for a couple of games, and that anticipation starts to build, and you start making it out to be bigger than it actually is. Get him right in there. You're right.
It's going to be a foul ball.
Well, let's take a look at the setup here of Kurt Casale. Going with that changeup right here. 1 knee down. We've seen him go knee down. We've seen him up in a traditional stance, trying to get low, that target low. That's just working to help your pitcher out.
A little bit wide with a fastball. That fastball in around 94 on the gun.
Someone enjoyed their break.
I guess so.
You don't see Alex Cobb usually up that high.
So the count is full. Dozier has been the power man in this lineup for Ron Gardenhire. 18 home runs. And there's another guy who has some pop. Kendrys Morales. That's a foul ball.
Well, the one thing that you're going to see over the course of this series, the Minnesota Twins see more pitches per plate appearance as a team than anybody in Major League Baseball. They're extremely patient, so you would expect Rays pitchers to really attack the zone early.
Popped up. foul ball, and Loney's going to have room. 2 gone.
You know, and that can work a couple of different ways, because if they want to stay patient, then that's going to allow Rays pitchers to get ahead in the count consistently. 0-2, 1-2. If not, you pound the zone early, and then you force the Twins out of their comfort zone. They want to see a lot of pitches. They want to work counts. The best way to go with those teams is to attack. We've seen the Rays do it against the Red Sox, the Yankees, teams that are traditionally very patient at the plate and had a lot of success by doing it that way.
Here's Kendrys Morales. He takes a pitch for a strike. Morales and the Twins coming to agreement on a contract in early June. About the first week of June.
You know, and I always think that a signing like that is a huge risk. You know, because here you take a hitter who really hasn't had much of a spring training, if at all, and you throw him right into a middle of a big league season where guys are, you know, pitchers are starting to work the ball very well around the zone. Here he does a nice job of hitting the ball the other way.
Yeah, and the left, with the Rays not exactly shifting, but a heavy pull on him, and they had Longoria well off the bag at third. He just hits it the other way.
Yeah, you'll see the setup here as this ball's moving away. That makes it easy for Morales to go the other way. But, you know, I think that they were expecting, obviously, more production. To this point, just 1 home run for Morales. Not doing much in the area of batting average either. But that's tough to drop a guy into the middle of a season, June, July, in the big leagues, and expect, I don't care what kind of hitter he is, to expect him to go out there and just start raking. And that has not happened thus far.
Well, that's one thing the Twins front office was looking for, more offense out of this club. Pitch to Trevor Plouffe upstairs.
And when they made that move, the idea was, listen, the Central is a winnable division, and there's no reason why we can't win it. And so let's go get that bat, add to this offense a little bit, and give it a shot. That was when Detroit was really struggling. They got off to a great start, then scuffled for about a month, went like 9-20, and the Twins tried to seize the opportunity. It has not worked out for them quite yet.
Twins start the night 10.5 back. 2 balls and a strike. There's a strike.
A good fastball there by Alex on the outside corner. Trying to work his way back into this count.
This went back to the mound. Cobb with that diving leap and a pickup and the throw to first in time, so Plouffe is out of there. That retires Minnesota, and we go to the second. No score.
Evan Longoria will lead off for the Rays. Evan knows that there's a lot of room to improve in the second half for himself as well as the team.
You know, the pressure is there, and I'll definitely embrace it. I'm excited for the challenge. I think the team has really started to come into its own, and we can do something special. So it should be an exciting second half, and I'm looking forward to that challenge of really, you know, getting myself going again and figuring out what it is that is going to allow me to do that.
And guys, he said he's been watching a lot of video, in his words, back when he was good, to try and see what he was doing then that he's not doing in the first half of this season. Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much. A big cut right there. And there's no question when you look at the numbers and you project them out, they are not Evan Longoria-like numbers based on the first few years of his career, starting when he broke in 2008. There's a major difference to this point. Chop to Escobar short. One away.
That's been part of the problem right there with Evan Longoria, the numbers being down this year. A lot of ground balls, a lot more than you're used to seeing from Evan Longoria. And there you go, Dwayne. There are the numbers to back you up. 27.91 is your average. And right now on pace for 18 and 73, way below.
Yeah, and I know you did some extensive checking on that, even down to the point of 4 pop-ups this year. And if you'll recall the conversation we had a couple weeks ago, batting averages on line drives, fly balls, ground balls, pop-ups. Well, it does not bode well if your pop-up total is greater than it's ever been before.
No, well, here's the thing that's crazy. Fly balls are down for him. More ground balls, less fly balls. Of the fly balls, 10%. Or a little over 10% actually, are not even leaving the infield.
Yeah.
And that's where you get the big pop-up number, almost double what it has been historically. More ground balls, more pop-ups, less line drives gap to gap, which is his game.
Yeah, and as interesting as it turns out, and we talked about this in that conversation, the batting average on pop-ups is 10.
Yeah, those don't fall in. So, occasionally you're going to get the 3 guys who converge. Yeah. No one takes charge. That happens, once, twice a year.
That's right. But you want to hit line drives. That's the high percentage. Ground balls were about, I think, 260. So I guess if you hit nothing but ground balls, you'd hit 260.
And that's about where he's at.
He's hitting 257 coming in.
There you go. There you go. The one thing that you can say, though, about Evan is he is an accountable player. He takes responsibility.
Well, he is that, absolutely.
Yep, and that's why you know that he's going to turn it around, because he's not going to sit idly by. He's not going to feel sorry for himself. He's going to put the work in, and he's going to figure out a way to get it done.
2-2 here on Loney. Into left center field, closing. Sam Full tries the sliding catch and cannot hold it. And so Loney is in there with a base hit, and that's the Sam Full that we all remember.
No, and here's the difference. The first thing that comes to mind, if he's wearing a Rays uni, he catches that. If he's wearing a Rays uni, that ball never sees the turf. Book it. In fact, I don't even know if it saw the glove.
No,
I saw a lot of his chest.
Yeah, I think that ball caught him more than he attempted to catch it. Sliding through the outfield one way or another, on his backside, on his stomach, head first, feet first.
Just much more efficient as a Ray.
There's Escobar. Dozier at second, out there, over to first, safe there. Dozier had a long throw to make to Escobar to try to start that one. And Escobar's throw to Morales not in time to get Yunel Escobar.
Good effort, though. Good effort by the Twins middle infield. You're right. Look at Dozier shaded up the middle. He's got a range to his left, turn quick feed to Escobar. And then Loney kind of gets him airborne as he returns the throw over towards first and just not able to get enough on it.
Cole Figueroa. Pitch is a strike.
Well, you start to break the numbers down on Kyle Gibson, and it's very interesting. And this is a guy who's given up 1 or 0 earned runs in over half of his starts, 10 of 18.
Yeah, his numbers are extremely interesting that way. Dozier makes this play, goes out Figueroa. More on Gibson's season when we come back. No score through an inning and a half. And the right-hander out of the University of Missouri from Minnesota. And when you look at that breakout that you started to reference, when he's good, he's very good, and when he's bad, he's not too good at all. In fact, his 8 wins, his ERA is 0.83, and his losses, it's 13.16.
I mean, you're not going to find a more extreme breakout than that. And it goes back to 1 or 0 earned runs in 10 of 18 starts. He's given up 5 earned runs or more in 6 of the 18 starts. And he's had a number of very, very short outings. And that's what leads to those big ERA numbers.
First pitch from Alex Cobb in the bottom of the second, low to Oswaldo Arcia. He's hitting .222 with 5 home runs. Gave up the 1 hit in the first inning, a scoreless first, and that was encouraging for Cobb because his numbers in the first inning have been a little troubling at times.
All the earmarks of a pitcher trying to get into a rhythm and get settled into a ball game. And a lot of times when you're struggling with that, you're right. You get them early, and that's when you can rough them up before they can get into good rhythm.
And Longoria on the left side, so he takes care of that with the shift in place. Arcia is out, third to first. It's going to bring up Josh Willingham. Time now for you to tweet your photo using #SunSportsFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in our broadcast later in the game, brought to you by AT&T. Willingham takes the pitch for a ball. One and one. One and two.
Well, the one thing that you like already from Kurt Casale, you're watching him catch here in the early going with no runners on. He gives a very compact target for his pitcher to hit. He gets that glove nice and low. Look at him sit up there. Sometimes you get those catchers, they get those legs spread out, and there's just a lot of body there. You want something that's compact, something small, a small target to throw to. And as we see here with no runners on, it'll be interesting to see once runners get on how wide he will get. See, he takes a little bit more of an athletic stance on that pitch, knowing that it's going to be a changeup, and more than likely with the count the way it is, Alex is going to want to bottom that out, and maybe it catches the dirt, so you want to be ready to block it.
Cobb has gone to 3-2 on Willingham. And he loses him. So with one out, the Twins have a base runner in the bottom of the second.
Well, this is how the Twins can hurt you. And that is by being patient. And if you start to miss a couple of pitches, they will work walks. Third most walks in the American League.
And that has been an issue with Cobb overall, his command.
Yeah.
When you think about when he runs into trouble, it's a lack of command that we, in the last year and a half, have not seen much of an issue with that. It's been a little different this year.
His mechanics are a little different this year. You know, he's got that pause now. That leg comes out at that 45-degree angle, especially out of the windup. You know, out of the stretch, everything is smooth. But, you know, he used to be just very smooth in his mechanics out of the windup. Just up, down, and here it comes. And now all of a sudden you've got that little pause, that little hip rotation. You know, there's a lot of moving parts there. And I think that's why Alex has found it more difficult to get into a good rhythm this year because of that delivery.
Faces Kurt Suzuki and is ahead of him. 2 strikes. Suzuki's had a very good year for the Twins. After dividing last year between Oakland and Washington, Suzuki really has found a rebirth here. Made the All-Star team.
And he rakes at this field.
Yes, he does. He loves to hit here. The pitch is a little wide. It's 1-2.
He's hit in his last 13 home games. He's got a home average of .344. That's good enough for 4th in the American League. Well, you're right. This is a guy I know, Dwayne, that you've always liked, Kurt Suzuki. And he has really turned it around this year.
Yeah, he's an active catcher back there. Does a great job there. And you really had the feeling when he was in Oakland that they just played him into the ground. He's not the biggest guy, but he was willing to play every day, every inning, if you'd let him. And that may have caught up with him. But here, it's interesting. He's become a little more patient with Tom Brunansky on their staff. He lines this one foul. So as a hitter, he's a little more patient. And he's healthier. That's always a major plus. And he made the All-Star team and was behind the plate when the American League finished off the National League 5-3.
Not always easy to make that transition to become a more patient hitter this deep into your career.
Fly ball into left. Zobrist has it. 2 gone.
Because the one thing that you're going to have to do, if you're going to become a more patient hitter, then you're going to have to be okay in hitting with 2 strikes. And not a lot of guys are. You know, a lot of guys want to get out there. They want to be aggressive early. They don't want to be put in that position to where they're just trying to put a ball in play and risking that strikeout. But if you're going to be patient at the plate and see a lot of pitches, you're going to have to function with 2 strikes.
And you know, there's some hitters who might be able to make that transition. Some it's just impossible.
Yeah.
You know, but Suzuki's been a pretty good contact guy, so he might be one of those guys who could confidently do that and become a little better hitter.
I want to see that tried with Adam Jones.
Probably not going to work.
In fact, he doesn't shy away from it either.
No.
He said, listen, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm ready to swing in the on-deck circle.
First pitch to Escobar, the shortstop. 1 ball, no strikes.
But that does make sense. You know, if you can put the ball in play, give yourself a chance, then why not make that adjustment? You've seen what it's done for his numbers this year.
This one stroked up the middle. Down to second, advances Willingham. Escobar with a single.
That was a really nice job there by Escobar on an off-speed pitch down in the zone. Watch him stay on it and just rifle it right back up the middle, almost like he caught that ball with the barrel of his bat and then just flung it out into center field.
And here he is, Sam Fold, hitting ninth. And Gardenhire's lined up and hitting left-handed, looking right into that Rays dugout over there. You've got to put that out of his mind. You saw that smile when he approached the plate.
Well, somebody, I mean, you got to figure Davey, Martinez, Joe Madden, somebody whistling at him.
Yeah.
Big spot here, though. First and second, 2 outs.
And the pitch is upstairs, and he truly has been red hot. He's reached base 17 times in his last 24 plate appearances.
Do the math on that. That is absurd.
Lifts it into left. Zobrist is right there, and that will retire the side. 2 men left. We go to the third. Rays and the Twins scoreless. Making his major league debut behind the plate for the Rays tonight here in Minnesota, will lead off the top of the third, facing Kyle Gibson. Sally this year between AA and AAA, hitting .261. And the pitch is a strike. Casale out of New Canaan, Connecticut, went to Vanderbilt and was drafted out of Vanderbilt by the Tigers in 2011. And there's a liner into right center field, going to drop for a base hit. Santana with the pickup, and Casale in his first big league at bat also collects his first big league hit. And congratulations from George Hendrick over there at first base. And there's one for the trophy shelf.
I think that was some pretty sweet sleight of hand there by Sean Rodriguez. Here it is, a breaking ball, stays up. Casale stays on it and does a nice job of getting that out of the way early.
David Price says it's been a big year for Vanderbilt baseball.
And why stop now?
Yep. And Casale has a base hit, collecting #1 in the big leagues. Kevin Kiermaier takes a strike. And don't worry, they do have the real baseball
somewhere.
That was a nice job, though, wasn't it, by Sean Rodriguez?
Great sell job.
Liner the other way into left, and this one will be caught by Fold, who got rid of that one as quickly as he caught it.
Boy, I mean, he got rid of that so quickly, you almost wondered if they were going to call it a catch. I mean, Sam Fold comes sliding in, makes the catch. Watch this. Definitely a catch. And before the slide is complete.
Yeah, we had to slow it down so that there could be a catch.
Replay.
So Casale still at first, one out. Top of the order now, Desmond Jennings. There's a strike.
And so far in this inning, 2 mistakes by Gibson. Left the breaking ball up, Casale base hit, missed location and left a fastball up. Kiermaier did everything that he could have done with a bullet to left. That's what you're going to have to do off Gibson, because when he's good, as you said earlier, Dwayne, he is very good. Take advantage of his mistakes. That's the thing about guys with good sinkers. When it's down in the zone, it's deadly. If you miss up, it flattens out, becomes very hittable.
It's a ball, 2-strike count. The Rays face the Twins and Gibson at Tropicana Field back the 3rd week of April. And the Rays beat Gibson 7-3, scored 7 runs on 10 hits in 3+ innings in that game. That was the only game the Rays won in that series against Minnesota. 2-2 now, the count on Jennings. Rays 1-2 against the Twins this year. Since 2010, they have been 24-10 against Minnesota. This one deflecting off the glove of Gibson, recovered by Morales, but he could not cleanly pick it up, but everybody is safe. Jennings aboard with Casale moving to second.
Well, and I think Kyle Gibson upset with himself, obviously, for not making the play. But it sure looked, you see where Dozier is. That was going to be a tailor-made double play, Desmond Jennings running or not. That ball was hit sharply enough. If it gets to Dozier, that's 4-6-3 more than likely, and this inning is over. Instead, you get a base hit off the glove of Gibson, and now first and second with just 1 out.
And Ben Zobrist then grounded out to second his first time. Came into the game 2 of 5 in his career against Gibson. Want to know the count? So the Rays presented with their first scoring opportunity.
Right now, Kyle Gibson trying to make the perfect pitch. He's going for that ground ball. He's induced 15 ground ball double plays. That's what he's looking for here, but in doing so, you've got a hitter at the plate that can be patient and now has worked the count in his favor 2-0. He can look for one pitch, one spot.
And another good look by Zobrist. Makes it 3 balls, no strikes.
This is where you want to be patient, and Ben Zobrist is the right guy at the plate for this at bat, knowing that Gibson is going to try to get you to be too aggressive and expand your zone. Ben has not done that.
3-1.
You know, by doing so, you give yourself this great count. You take a strike for 3-1. You're still in the catbird seat, and you can try to wait out a mistake. Or if he wants to stay on the fringes, maybe take your walk.
And he walks him. So the bases are loaded. Casale will go to third. Jennings moves to second. Zobrist taking over at first. The bases will be loaded now for Matt Joyce.
Same idea. Same idea. Gibson's going to have the same approach to Joyce. He's going to try to induce a ground ball, work the bottom of the zone, be ready to hit, but also patient at the same time. Easier said than done.
Matt went after the first pitch in the first inning and grounded out to second. And he takes this one for ball one. That's going to prompt a visit to the mound by Suzuki.
Gibson early on, with no base runners out of the windup, he was aggressive in the zone, letting the ball do its thing, allowing the Rays to put the ball in play, use his defense. Now, after that ball goes off his glove, he tries to become perfect, and it's been out of the zone 5 of the last 6 pitches.
A ball, no strikes. Popped up. Third base side, foul ball. Booth makes the catch. So Matt Joyce fouls out, a very big out for Gibson.
Yep, and he left that ball up in the zone. That was a sinker that did not sink, and Matt Joyce just got underneath it and popped it up. What that does do here, though, bases loaded, 2 outs, and Evan Longoria looking for that big second half of the season, at least after the All-Star break.
Well, a great opportunity. It'll take a 2-out hit to do it. Bases loaded. And Evan takes the pitch outside. Evan said before that he thought perhaps he was pressing, trying to do more in certain situations, trying to carry the load. And he's trying to change his mindset to be more situational, do what he can do in the current situation he's in, and he finds himself in one right here where he doesn't have to hit a home run. We're talking about picking out a good pitch and hitting it squarely.
Well, when a hitter tries to do too much, typically that's code for I'm expanding my zone.
Yep.
And if you're expanding your zone, that's not going to work out too well in the long run.
High fly ball deep into right center. Santana and Arcia back. That's going to be over the head of Arcia and off the wall. 1 run is in. Here comes another one. That'll score 3 on a double by Longoria. And the Rays break out in front 3-0.
Well, there you go. Evan Longoria given an opportunity here with 2 outs to make something happen. And boy, does he. A mistake right out over the plate. And he smokes this ball out into right center field. Oswaldo Arcia had a shot at it. Not quite able to get there in time, and with 2 outs and everybody running, that's going to clear the bases, and the Rays jump out big.
14th double of the year for Longoria, gives him 47 runs batted in. He takes over the team lead in that department. So a big hit right here for Longoria. Now Loney fouls one away. And a pretty good guy to have at the plate right now on the heels of just scoring 3. A chance to add another one. It's a ball and a strike.
Well, the type of pitcher that Gibson is, sinker, the slider every now and then, but sinker, change up to the lefties. You're thinking James Loney, you're right, a perfect guy up the middle the other way.
2-1. Loney with his base hit in the second inning is now 3 for 5 in his career against Gibson. 3-1.
Well, Dwayne, we mentioned the numbers earlier on Gibson, and when it starts to go south, it can go south in a hurry. And we've seen the reason why. This is the same thing that plagued him in his first start against the Rays back in April. You start to get in a little bit of trouble, and then he becomes too fine, tries to be too perfect with every pitch.
Ground ball, that's going to skip through the middle. Backhanded out there by Dozier. Now the throw's going to come to the plate, and Longoria runs into the out there. Heads up by Dozier on a base hit up the middle. And Longoria's cut down at the plate to retire the Rays.
Well, you see right here, because Dozier was so deep, he's able to cut that ball off and make the play on Longoria at the plate.
3-0 Rays. On the bases loaded double by Evan Longoria, and then he was cut down at the plate. This is a heads-up play by Dozier.
Yeah, that is not the right fielder. That's Brian Dozier, the second baseman, playing deep against James Loney. He's able to slide over there, cut it off, and by doing so, with Evan Longoria being sent, he's able to get up, make a strong throw, and turns out to be an easy play to end the inning.
Here's Danny Santana. Shortens on the bat, and the pitch breaks in there for a strike.
Now, a huge hit by Evan Longoria. That would have been a frustrating inning for the Rays. 1 out, bases loaded to get nothing. Instead, they get 3. They put Alex Cobb in charge of this game.
Yeah, and if you let that opportunity get away, doesn't mean that you're not going to win the game, but it makes it that much more difficult psychologically, because you've had a great opportunity that you don't capitalize on, and it's hard to shake that, not carry it with you.
We have exhibit A through Z from the first half of the Rays doing that early in a ball game.
Yep.
Big opportunities, they let them go by. Oh, we'll get them next inning. That next inning never comes, and they end up dropping those games, the kind that they cannot allow themselves to lose here in the last 65.
Santana chases this one in the dirt. They complete the strikeout. Casale down to Loney.
Well, one of the things you want to see from Alex Cobb, the 2-strike changeup especially, is the finish. And there you see it. That ball starts out about thigh high, stays in the zone for a long time. Danny Santana got to commit, and that's what makes that pitch so dangerous, because when he has the finish on it, a hitter has to commit before that pitch starts its final break. And then once they do, they're not going to be able to make solid contact, if at all.
Brian Dozier takes a strike. Curveball in there on the first pitch to get ahead. The pop-up off the bunt attempt foul.
I'll tell you, the one thing that Alex Cobb does very well is he pitches within a formula. He's a three-pitch guy. He's got the fastball, the split change, and the curveball. Majority of the time that he uses the curveball is going to be early in the count to get ahead like he did here. Changeup when he's ahead in the count with 2 strikes. Fastball all those other times. But he works it around so well that there's just not much you can do about it. And you may know, I mean, left-handed hitters, 2 strikes. You're going to get the changeup 55% of the time. I mean, it's a really high rate, but you can know that it's coming. When he executes it, there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, and the numbers on him when he gets ahead with that first pitch strike, night and day.
Oh, it's really remarkable. I mean, the first pitch strike, the split that Jim Hickey prefers, which is the 1 and 2 versus 2 and 1.
He's 1 and 2 on Dozier right now. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cut and a foul right at his feet.
Not a very safe place to be, Guy. Especially with Cobb on the mound and Gibson. Many ground balls they get, you're in the line of fire.
And the base hit. Into center, and a big turn by Dozier. Hanging on at first. A 1-out base hit. Celebrate your Little Leaguer's birthday at Tropicana Field with the Rays birthday package. All group sales at 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com to reserve yours today. Rays colors in evidence here in Minneapolis. Kendrys Morales.
Oh, listen, if you're going to follow the Rays and take a road trip during the course of the summer, you're not going to pick many ballparks that are better than this one.
No, this is absolutely gorgeous. Highlighted by the All-Star game. But you don't need the All-Star game to figure out what a great job they did in constructing and designing and executing the construction of this ballpark. High fly. Zobrist and shallow left. That'll be out number 2.
Now you walk the concourse here at Target Field and the sight lines, you never lose sight of the field. You could be waiting in line at the concession stands and just turn around and have a complete full view of the field. And everywhere that you go, I mean, this is one of the premier spots. Love coming to this ballpark.
Yeah, they've used some of the native Minnesota limestone in the construction of this park as well. Trevor Plouffe takes the pitch for a strike. Always great to give it that local geological touch.
Yeah.
There goes the runner. A cut and a foul ball. So the count, 2 strikes to Plouffe. Dozier was moving on that pitch.
Well, Minnesota going to try to make something happen here. Down 3 runs. Alex Cobb starting to settle in. And when he gets it going, you know how tough it can be to score. So Minnesota here with 2 outs. Dozier off and running. He's have 16 stolen bases on the season.
And to move over there this time.
And Brian Dozier doing it all for the Twins this year. 18 home runs, 16 out of 21 in the stolen base department, playing solid defense out at second base. We saw him cut down the run in the last half of the inning, getting Evan Longoria at the plate on a nice play.
Just missed. Now 1-2. Cobb, first couple of innings, threw a few more pitches than we're accustomed to seeing him. 19 in the first, 20 in the second, and he's normally in that 15 to 16 range. Long one to left. Zobrist back to the track, and that ball is gone. Plouffe hits a two-run shot. That's the 7th home run of the year for Plouffe.
Well,
and it's a one-run ball game.
Yeah, big answer here by the Twins. Unfortunate for Alex and the Rays. 2 outs, and it is the changeup that does not have the finish. And when it doesn't, it comes in there 86, 87 miles an hour. Not a lot of down movement, and Plouffe able to get underneath it and drive it.
Pretty good catch, but unfortunately by a fan and not Ben Zobrist. 1-0 the count on Arcia. This one disappeared on him. It's 1-1 Rays. Have the full-fledged shift on Arcia. Figueroa in shallow right. This one on the ground, and Escobar over from shortstop out of the shift. Throws him out. We're through 3-2 Tampa Bay. Chevron pitching matchup. A great matchup tomorrow evening. We'll be with you at 6:30 on Sun Sports. David Price goes for number 10, 9-7. Boy, he is throwing the ball extremely well. And Phil Hughes, what a story he's been for the Twins. Yunel Escobar hits it on the ground to the shortstop Escobar, who throws him out. 1 pitch, 1 out. How about Hughes coming over as a free agent? He'll pitch for the Twins tomorrow against David Price. Hughes was 4-14 last year with a 5.19 ERA. with the Yankees, and they all but ran him out of town in New York, and he is pitching great here for the Twins. Now Cole Figueroa. I don't know.
Change of scenery. 10 wins going into the All-Star break, 10-5, and that's what that break allows you to do. The 4 days off, you get to reset your rotation, get the matchups actually coming out of the break. Usually you get the really good matchups as you put your top 2 or 3 guys up against the other team.
And David Price in his last 9 starts has a 192 earned run average.
He's become about as close to a robot as you can get.
Yep.
You just fire him out there, and he's just going to do the same thing over and over and over again. Pound the zone, fastball to both sides, backdoor the cutter to the righties, the changeup, occasional curveball, and just mow through a lineup, pitch deep into a game. Book it.
So it'll be a great matchup tomorrow evening here. Kurt Casale bats with the bases empty and 2 outs, 2 ground ball outs for Gibson, and 2 quick outs, and he could use it. He's thrown quite a few pitches, especially in the 3rd. He had a nice run going through the first 2 innings and made 24 pitches in the 3rd, and has a 1-strike count on Casale. That's the one thing about a ground ball pitcher. If he gets himself in sync where he wants to be, he can go right through a game, inning after inning after inning.
Well, and that's the way that it looked the first couple of innings for Gibson. Looks like that was going to be the way it was going to go. And really, till you got to Desmond Jennings, who looked like he was going to bounce into an inning-ending double play. The ball goes off Kyle Gibson's glove. After that, he tries to become a little bit too fine with his pitches, and he gets himself into trouble, and the Rays capitalize with 3 big runs.
So 2 strikes to Casale, Kurt Casale. A take on a pitch down and away. Casale got his first big league hit in his first big league at bat, and scored his first big league run all in the 3rd inning.
He's like, there's nothing to this big league game. What do you mean I've been waiting this long to get here?
He had a nice stroke into right center field to pick up that hit, and a good take right there. That evens the count at 2-2.
He got that breaking ball his first time up, and that's a pitch if you try to pull, you're going to pop it up. He stayed right with it, punched it out into right center.
A little one-hopper to shortstop, jammed on it. Escobar to Morales, 3 ground ball outs. We go to the bottom of the 4th, 3-2 Tampa Bay.
Involving Kurt Casale when he was called up from AAA Durham. His team was in Gwinnett County, Georgia, when the Rays, during their workout Thursday, realized Ryan Hannigan was going to have to go on the DL. So then the Rays decide to call up Casale, who's already has his first big league hit. He's 1 for 2 so far. Problem was, he got a couple of texts, one from Jamie Nelson and others saying congratulations before he got the news from Charlie Montoyo. So Nelson calls Montoyo and says, hey, I already told the kid, and he said, I haven't told him yet. So they take his phone while he's catching a bullpen session. They literally steal Casale's phone so he doesn't read the text. And then in front of all the other players during stretch, Charlie Montoyo said, here's your phone. We had to steal it so you wouldn't read about it first, but congratulations, you're now a big leaguer. So it was a pretty cool moment for young Curt Casale. Behind me was the family of Curt. His mom and dad are here, his girlfriend, and his 2 brothers. And they're getting texts right now, as you see, guys. Back to you.
All right, Todd, thank you very much. A big moment for the Casale family, and he did not disappoint. It's Lou and Kathy, his mom and dad. Congratulations to both of them on a great night.
And you don't have to sit on pins and needles all game. Is he going to get the hit tonight?
Yep.
And just get it out of the way. He scored a run. Now it'll just be drive one in, hit a home run.
That was very considerate of him. What a fine son.
Yeah. Take the pressure off.
2-1 the count now to Willingham.
Yeah, you wonder who feels it more. And I'm going to say the parents.
Oh, without question.
No control over the situation. Way worse than being out in the middle of it.
Well, that's what a parent's all about. No control over the situation. You kidding me? Willingham, a high popper, shallow center, and here comes Desmond in to make the catch. So Willingham is out of there. Here's our Toyota trend. How about this? Since 2010, after the All-Star break, the Rays have the best winning percentage, and that's something they certainly hope that they can continue this year.
And you know what? A big reason why, I think, is because typically the Rays are a younger squad. Joe Madden does his best to give these guys rest. He doesn't crack the whip early in the season with a lot of extra batting practice and making sure that the guys are hitting on the field every day. Days off here and there, day games, no batting practice. These guys are fresh. They're fresh and they're young. You hit August, September, where things can start to drag, and they're still pumping right along.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And the other thing goes to the philosophy of this organization. They break spring training with 25 guys, but they know that over the course of the season, they're going to be dipping into the organization. If you're a member of this organization, you've got a good chance to contribute throughout, at some point throughout the season. And we're seeing that tonight with Casale coming up here with a base hit, scoring the first run of this game. Cut the miss, and Suzuki's out number 2 in the 4th. In fact, Madden made a comment before the game about Casale. He said, I remember seeing him in the spring, the handful of games that he played there. His receiving impressed Madden. So when he comes up here, this time it happens to be Casale, but any of these players, Madden has an idea. He's seen them, and that's why spring training is one thing just to get ready for the season, but there are other evaluations going on as well. A big cut to miss by Eduardo Escobar for a strike.
You just never know, too, as a player, getting an opportunity to go to big league camp, what kind of impression you can make.
Yep.
I don't think from a fan's point of view, from ours certainly, Curt Casale not on the radar. You know, you're thinking Molina, and obviously catching depth that you always wonder about, especially with the Rays organization. And you know, first time it was Ali Solis, comes up and gets an opportunity. Now it's Casale. He's made the most of his night so far, 4 innings in. And you just never know. You go there, you work hard, you put the time and the effort in, you pick up little things, make an impression on a manager, and here you are, second half baseball in the starting lineup.
For short right, this is Figueroa making a nice play to get Escobar. We're headed into the 5th inning, and the Rays lead 3-2. 3-2. Kevin Kiermaier is going to lead it off. Tonight's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. How about this? The impact that Kiermaier has made since June the 1st. In that American League extra base hit list, he's on there with Mike Trout, Jose Abreu, Miguel Abrera, and next comes Kevin Kiermaier. Shows you what J.D. Martinez has done since the Tigers picked him up and brought him up as well. And here's Kiermaier, shortens on the bat, takes the pitch high. Kiermaier made a bid for a base hit his first time up on a line drive to left, and Sam Fuld made a nice catch out there.
There have
Ball,
been
one strike.
so many facets of Kiermaier's game that have been impressive. You know, he's used the whole field, hitting the ball the other way, pulling with power, surprising power. What, 8 home runs right now? He's had 15 in his minor league career.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't
It
it?
is. And there you go. His ability to hit with 2 strikes.
Gets that back foot out of the way.
And those active feet, whether it be in the outfield and in the batter's box or coming out of the batter's box, which is maybe the most impressive thing, is his explosion once he's made contact.
Little tapper. Boy, he makes
No
all
chance.
of these plays difficult. And they
No way.
just got him is the call.
Never.
And Joe Madden's going to come out. It's Mike DeMuro on the call down at first. Kiermaier tried to give DeMuro a little help by signaling safe. And now Joe Madden's going to come out. And chances are we'll take another look at this one.
Yeah, and he was safe. Kevin Kiermaier went to the front part of the bag. There's that explosion out of the box. And if I'm Kevin, I just go right to first base and stay. He's there. No question.
You know, it's pretty amazing because of that hustle, the effort that he gives. Almost every other hitter is going to be out in that situation. In a way, it becomes close to a routine play on every hitter except a guy like Kiermaier.
Yep. Well, you know, hitting from the left side helps, but it's the explosion out of the box. It's the effort out of the box. And so he takes a little swinging bunt like that, and you just had a feeling the entire way down the line he was not going to get him. And I think this call should and will be overturned.
So it's a Rays challenge.
Another smart thing he did is he went to the front of the bag.
Yep.
He didn't land in the middle of the bag. He cut the distance as close as he could, went to the front edge, and is going to be safe.
And he is safe. So Kiermaier has himself a base hit. Call overturned. The Rays put the leadoff man on base. It required 56 seconds to overturn that call.
We could have done it in 6.
So a man aboard, and here's the top of the order, Desmond Jennings. He puts down a bunt, a look to second by Gibson, but over to first. So a sacrifice.
Yeah, another reason why I like what Joe has done with the lineup and putting Kiermaier down there in the 9 spot with Jennings leading off, because you can play that little game with them. You can hit and run. You can bunt like that.
Yeah, and in this case, he truly is a second leadoff guy that way.
Joe trying to make his offense as dynamic as possible, and that's one way to do it.
And Zobrist with a man in scoring position takes a strike. Twins have the infield pulled around. Escobar behind the runner off second. And Dozier shaded toward the hole and deep on the right side. 1-1. Two balls and a strike. It's Matt Joyce on deck. Too low. Now 3-1.
Well, this is exactly what got Gibson into trouble his last time through this part of the order. Runner in scoring position, and all of a sudden tried to become too fine with his pitches. The Rays were able to capitalize. Can they do it again?
A long one deep to right. Arcia looking up, and that ball is gone. Home run for Ben Zobrist. On a 3-1 pitch, the Rays get those 2 runs back.
Well, you found the Achilles heel of Kyle Gibson. If you're able to get a runner against him, get a runner into scoring position, and then watch him start to almost aim, becomes very fine, gets into bad counts, and then the sinker that stays up, it flattens out, and Ben Zobrist destroys it.
So the Rays now lead 5-2 on the home run to right by Zobrist, his 7th of the year. That matches Matt Joyce on the year, who's up here now. 1-0 the count to Joyce. On the ground to first. Morales makes the play unassisted. Celebrate Christmas in July at Tropicana Field. Sunday, July 27th. Kids 14 and under will get a Chris Archer Christmas stocking presented by SunTrust Bank while supplies last. Then stay after the game for a special Christmas-themed concert by the Imagination Movers. Visit RaysBaseball.com today. Evan Longoria misses the slider. Strike one.
You know, Dwayne, I know that speaking for both of us, we're always impressed when the Rays promotional schedule comes out.
Yep.
The Chris Archer Christmas in July stocking.
Yep.
That is top notch.
Yep.
That is witty.
It's planning ahead.
Yes.
Number one.
Yes, it is. I like that.
Yep. Got to be prepared.
I want 2. 3.
Without a question.
3.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
1 for each child.
Yeah, we probably don't want to pursue that too much. That's low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You had a great break with those children, didn't you?
I did.
That was great.
It flies by.
You came
as
back
always.
so refreshed.
Ready to be back.
Yeah.
Ready to be back to work and be productive again.
There's a base hit the other way for Evan. 2-out single.
This is a break for me now. It's a break. The last 4 days were work. This is a break.
Nothing like fun at the old ballpark. And here we are. James Loney is 2 for 2. Estimated distance of the home run for Zobrist 370 feet. And more importantly, it gave the Rays 2 runs to build a 3-run lead. Down and in to James. 1 ball, no strikes. 2-0. Rays and the Twins again tomorrow night. Sunday afternoon, Monday a day off. The Rays play a 2-game series in St. Louis against the Cardinals on this trip. 2-1. And then finally get back to Tropicana Field.
Yeah, interesting Rays schedule. You get the 4 days off for the All-Star break. This 3-game series in Minnesota followed by a day off. 2-game series with St. Louis, day off. Not exactly when you would like those days off coming out of the break.
Ground ball into shallow right where Dozier is planted. Soloni's out of there. The Rays get 2 on one swing of Ben Zobrist's bat. 3 hits, my man left. The Rays lead 5-2. Sun Sports is presented by your Tampa Bay area Mazda dealers. It takes conviction, creativity, and courage to build cars worth driving. This is the Mazda way. Circle K, where any size Polar Pop Cup is 79 cents every day. Circle K, what else do you need? And by Nissan, get to your local Nissan store for the ride of your life and save big today. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Rays with the lead and reinforcements if needed. Well, he's ready to play.
In the ready position.
Absolutely.
As ready as you can be in seat 16.
Now Sam Fole, the former Ray, leads it off in the bottom of the 5th for Minnesota. The pitch stays in. 1 ball, no strikes. Cobb coming off a 1-2-3 4th in which he made just 10 pitches, and that's a little more like where he would prefer to be. Oh, high fly ball into right. High, not all that deep, and Kiermaier makes the catch.
Yeah, big inning here too for Alex Cobb after what the Rays did in extending that lead back out to 3. You know, he had the 3-run lead, gave up the 2-run homer to Trevor Plouffe in the bottom half of that inning. All of a sudden the Rays extended back out to 3, and coming off of that very efficient 4th, you'd like another nice inning here in the 5th, and then you can start to squeeze this Twins team and try to finish them off.
Well, here's Santana. Ball, no strikes. Danny Santana, young man out of the Dominican Republic, switch hitting infielder, and tonight playing center field. Belted into the Twins dugout down toward the photographer's well. 2 balls and a strike. It's going to even the count. Santana grounded out in the first inning, and then Cobb struck him out on a changeup in the third. 2-2 with him right now. Count goes full. There's Brian Dozier on deck. He's the big power man in their lineup these days. Ground ball off the mitt of Loney and into shallow right. It'll be picked up by Figueroa. Diving attempt by Loney, just couldn't get it. Santana has a base hit.
Well, let's hope this deflection for the Twins' benefit does not lead to big things for them. A great effort there by James Loney. Alex Cobb getting a ground ball rollover from Santana. Nice dive. Just not able to come up with it clean. Just off the end of the glove, and by doing that you redirect it away from Figueroa, who's moving over in the hole to try to get to that ball.
Here's Dozier. Singled and scored his last time at the plate. Santana 6 of 7 in the running department.
Alex Cobb, opposing base stealers, 7 out of 8 against him, and they might want to try to work on this battery here.
This one coming in on Dozier, and he's hit by the pitch as he had squared his hip to bunt. And I think Joe Madden wants to talk this one over with Hunter Wendelstedt, the plate umpire.
Yeah, I think Joe's going to try to make the case that, listen, he offered it that, and if you do that, the hand's part of the bat. Here's the square round. Well, you can see right there, he is trying to pull the bat back and get out of the way. That ball just continues to bore in on him and catch that hand. Joe's still saying, yeah, but wants that foul ball.
You know, you'd think that the first order of business might be to ask the first base umpire. I mean, he's got a direct view, and the Rays are going to have him take a look at this one here in the 5th inning.
Yeah, this is an interesting challenge. Because you're going to take a look here at the intent, obviously, and then as the bat gets pulled back, you can even see it hit the hand. You can see him trying to pull the bat back and out of there. Squares around, pulls back. That ball catches. Hunter Wendelstedt said the hand of Brian Dozier, and certainly that was the reaction that he gave, was he got his hand.
So the second Tampa Bay challenge of the night. The Rays prevailing in their first one. On the play at first involving Kevin Kiermaier, and so they kept their challenge, and they're utilizing it again here in the bottom of the inning on the hit by pitch call.
I don't feel nearly as confident on this one.
So the 2 umpires tonight who've been involved in these challenges, the sons of former big league umpires. Lou DeMuro, the father of Mike, umpired in the big leagues, and of course Harry Wendelstedt, the father of Hunter, who's calling the balls and strikes tonight. So the crews up in New York in Command Central, looking at all the various angles of that play to try to determine if this next call should stand.
Well, and
otherwise be altered.
Yeah, and you know, Dwayne, if the call does stand, that's going to put runners, you know, first and second, one out, and you've got Morales, you've got Plouffe, who already hit a 2-run homer earlier in this game. Got some trouble coming here, and that's, you got Alex Cobb out there working on the mound right now to stay sharp and stay loose while this review drags on.
Taking a little longer with this one, and Cobb had taken a few tosses to stay loose, and now he has stopped. So after that action there, Dozier's going to stay at first, hit by the pitch.
You know, let's just cut to the chase. Does anybody know what they were looking at?
Trying to figure out, strictly speaking, if he was hit by the pitch.
And okay. Well, it took an awful long time for that to come back, and there is no way from those angles that we saw where you could say that he wasn't hit by it. That should have been pretty quick. Where you come back, you maybe not confirm it, but at least it stands. I think initially, you know, at least when it first went, was it intent? Was he intending to bunt? Was he pulling it back? Was it the fact, did it hit him? That's such a, if that was the case, then that is a risky challenge there, because that is a blurry, you know, to tell if that ball hit the hand or the bat. You got the batting glove, the black bat. That was going to be difficult.
So Kendrys Morales is up here now, and he fouls the first pitch out of play. Let's see if we can pick up any audio from that pitch.
Well, and here's the thing, too. It could get a piece of the finger and still part of the bat. So you could get that bat sound while it still gets part of the hand. That's just a... Well, that was a challenge doomed to fail, if that's what they were going after.
So the word we're getting at a nice stop there by Casale is that the call stands. Now the count is 1-1 on Morales.
Good job by Casale to keep that ball in front. You got runners at first and second. The last thing you want is both of them in scoring position, and a nice block. Good recovery.
High fly ball, center field. It's Jennings. Santana tags and advances to third. First and third now for Minnesota with 2 men out.
Well, you come down to 2 huge at-bats. Number 1, Morales. Check for Alex Cobb. Now Plouffe, who hit a home run his last time up, becomes an extremely large matchup here.
Plouffe homered his last time. Change that stayed up enough, and Plouffe hit it out. Blocked again on the first pitch to Plouffe.
Yeah, even more important now with Santana down there at third base. Now it becomes a potential run and a runner moving up into scoring position. So another nice job by Casale to block that ball in the dirt.
The knees for a strike. It's 1-1. Cobb working in the bottom of the 5th inning. Pitch count over 80. the move to first. Dozier had made just a little move towards second base, and Cobb decided to go over there. 1-1 the count. Ground ball short. Escobar to second to Figueroa for the force. Twins do not score. They leave 2. We go to the 6th. Rays up 5-2. Sixth inning. Ben Zobrist unloading his 7th home run of the year. In the 5th, and in tonight's game and all season long, Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. Janelle Escobar takes the pitch inside. Escobar to be followed by Cole Figueroa and then Kurt Casale. Chopper to third. Kloof makes the play. Escobar out number 1 in the 6th. Cole Figueroa up there is grounded out twice tonight. Dozier at second has handled those. Yankees beat the Reds, so the Yankees are now a game over 500. The Orioles play on the West Coast in Oakland tonight. Here the Rays lead the Twins 5-2. Top of the 6th, chopped to short. Escobar throws out Figueroa. 2 gone. Gator fans come out to chomp at the Trop when the Rays look to make Gator bait out of the Red Sox Saturday, July 26th. Students, alumni, and fans who bleed orange and blue purchase this ticket package and get a discounted seat in the lower level and Rays UF hat for just $42. Visit RaysBaseball.com/special events. This pitch breaking ball in for a strike to Casale. Red Sox scored 4 in the bottom of the 6th inning at Fenway to take a 5-4 lead on Kansas City. 0-2 to the Rays catcher. And the Texas Rangers lead the Blue Jays That's a 5-1 game in the top of the ninth. Texas scored 3 in the 7th, so it's 5-1. Texas Rangers batting in the top of the ninth in Toronto. Ground ball right side. Gibson covers, takes the toss from Morales. 3 up, 3 down go the Rays. Bottom of the 6th coming up. 5-2 Tampa Bay. Hits a big part of this one. The Rays open the scoring on the bases loaded double by Evan Longoria in the 3rd. Trevor Plouffe in the bottom of the inning got Minnesota on the board with a 2-run, 2-out home run. And then the Rays stretched the lead again on the home run in the 5th by Ben Zobrist. That came with a man on. So the Rays again lead by 3, 5-2. 5-8-0 for the Rays, 2-5-0 for Minnesota. And as Waldo Arcia is going to lead off the bottom of the 6th inning. The pitch is a strike. Fly ball back the other way. Zobrist to the track, to the wall. He got it. Ben Zobrist tracks it down. Just approaching the wall. And Arcia is out number 1. Hit it a long way to the opposite field.
Well, you can play Ben Zobrist just about anywhere, and he's going to give you a solid defense, and he never takes his eyes off this baseball. Just continues to move back, eyes on the ball, and makes that little jump into the wall. And Alex Cobb, you better believe it, keep that leadoff man off base, more than likely in scoring position.
And Josh Willingham. Pitch darts in there for a strike. Curveball. Willingham, the designated hitter. Cobb walked him in the 2nd, then got him on a fly ball to center in the 4th.
Well, look at that pitch right there. This strike zone of Hunter Wendelstedt looks to be opening up just a little bit. Fastball down and in right now. Alex Cobb has got everything going for him.
It's a ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, and you hope on a delivery like that you don't hurt yourself. That's the one thing that you're concerned about, is Alex Cobb. A little bit of a slip there maybe, and now they're going to get Evan Longoria to come in here and give Alex a little bit of a breather. make sure he's all right.
Takes the count to 2-2. What a picture-perfect night here in Minneapolis for the opening game of this series. Hit on the ground to short. Escobar makes the throw. A little bit of a shift on for Willingham. The ball hit toward the hole between short and third, right to Escobar. So 2 up and 2 down. That'll be Kurt Suzuki. Suzuki, nothing out of 2, including a strikeout in the 4th. One of a couple strikeouts posted by Cobb tonight. Suzuki takes it low. Suzuki hit by that pitch. So it will put a base runner at first.
Well, he's getting a little bit of arm side run on that fastball, and it just able to climb up and in. Gets Suzuki right on the back of that left arm.
Now, when he gets that kind of move, and you saw, I don't know, you saw briefly Jim Hickey go to the bullpen phone.
Yeah.
Just a little idea right there, a little indicator maybe that the arm drops, lags a bit.
That's right. That's right, Dwayne. You get underneath that baseball. You know, he gets that same kind of movement usually down in the zone. When you stay on top, stay over the rubber, you're driving the ball downhill, you get underneath it a little bit, you'll get that arm side high run, and that is an indicator of maybe starting to lose a little bit of steam out there.
Yeah, it could be tied to a little fatigue. So immediately we start to get some action in the bullpen. 2-0 the count to Escobar. Eduardo Escobar. Boxberger up in the Rays bullpen.
You know, this is the luxury that the Rays have, having such a strong back end of the bullpen. It shortens games. And so if you can get your starter through 6, ideally just 6, and you have the lead, you shorten the game with as good as the Rays bullpen can be. More than that, it's just bonus.
Cobb looking for that call, didn't come. Now it's 3-1. Fold on deck as Cobb starts to get close to the 100 pitch mark.
Well, you certainly don't want to bring the tying run to the plate in Sam Fold. Not a big home run hitter, but he will pop one every now and then. Make a pitch right here.
Foul the other way, out of play. 3-2.
Well, if I'm Alex Cobb, I come here and I come with a changeup and I throw it right out over the plate. I take my strike 3 and I head to the dugout.
Well, he's made 98 pitches to this point. 3-2 the count. Here's number 99, and he loses it.
And you can see the reaction. He did go with the changeup, but he spiked that pitch, and immediately Jim Hickey telling Joe Madden right now that Brad Boxberger is ready. If that's the route they decide to go down, or do they leave it in the hands of Alex Cobb?
2 men on with 2 men out. He got the first 2 men. And here comes Madden. That's going to be it. He hit Kurt Suzuki, then walked the number 8 hitter Escobar. And that's going to be it for Alex Cobb tonight. 5 2/3. He departs with 2 men on base, and we'll be back with the new Rays pitcher in a moment. Take a look at our pitching performance presented by Volkswagen and the recent work of Brad Boxberger. How about this? No runs and no walks, just 3 hits in 9 1/3 innings.
Yeah, those are the 2 big ones right there. Brad Boxberger has been tremendous for the Rays all season long, but those last 7 appearances, almost a strikeout an inning, that opponent's average, everything exemplary.
Yeah, and that strikeout ratio over those 7 games in 9 innings below the pace that he has set. He's averaging a little over 13 strikeouts per 9 innings of work this year. And he faces Sam Fuld. 2 men on now. And the first pitch is a fastball for a strike. That's the thing about Boxberger. There's such a separation between his fastball and the changeup.
Yeah, the 2 primary weapons, it goes anywhere from 12 to 15 miles an hour. And he throws them with the same arm slot and the same arm speed. Alex Cobb seething right now after coming out of this game. You don't blame him. 5 2/3, nobody on. And all of a sudden hit batter and a walk. Frustrating way to end your night.
But if Boxberger gets Fuld and the Rays go on and hold this lead, all will be well. But you know, here's the thing about Cobb. He's going to be happy if the Rays should win this, but as he is self-evaluating and critical that way, he'll beat himself up a little bit.
I think any pitcher worth his weight would. You know, you're not going to be happy, or you shouldn't be happy with a 5 2/3 out. You know, 5 1/3, 5 and dive. You don't want to be that guy. You want to pitch deep into a game. Alex Cobb, that's the kind of mindset that he has. Same with the guy right to his right, David Price. You know, this whole Rays pitching staff, when they go out there, they want to get deep.
Fouled away.
Just
2.
It gives you something to continue to work for. Always have to be striving towards something. Back to the drawing board. What can I do better? What can I do differently? That's really the challenge at this level for every player. And if you're not a good, honest self-evaluator, you'll find yourself out of the game rather quickly.
Cole pounds this one back. One ball, 2 strikes. Now it's 2-2, and a nice stop by Casali. Catcher making his major league debut for the Rays. It's been a good night for him so far, picking up his first big league hit, scoring a run. He's done a nice job behind the plate. Ground ball foul off the right side.
Well, when you get a hitter like this, you know, Sam Fuld doing a nice job of battling Boxberger here between the fastball and the changeup. You either go to your third pitch, which is the breaking ball. If you're not comfortable with that, then you need to change the location with the fastball. And we'll see what Brad decides to do here if he sticks with the changeup. Sam Fuld starting to zone in a little bit.
And he goes up and away with a fastball out of the zone.
This will allow the base runners to be put into motion.
Boxberger got ahead of him. Fuld has worked the count all the way out. Escobar first, Suzuki second, and ball 4. Boxberger missed with a fastball, and the bases are loaded for the top of the order.
You could see that at bat as it was going on and getting deeper into the count that the advantage was starting to swing towards Sam Fuld. He was getting better swings. He was fouling off the tough pitches. You could see that he was locked in on location, and he does eventually work the walk, and now the biggest at bat of the game.
And doubly frustrating because it all happens with 2 outs, and it's the 7, 8, and 9 hitters. Now the top of the order, Santana, and he takes a strike.
You know what? I think Casali was fooled by that changeup. He caught that ball with his right throwing arm going down to the ground. He was off balance. Watch. He was fooled by it. Little off balance.
Oh, and a cut and a miss. How about that changeup?
Well, you know what?
Wow.
Yeah, you've got to prepare for 95 because that's what Boxberger can get it to. And no surprise that you get a swing like that. You don't even.
What a nice stop there by Casali.
I'll tell you, the Rays do have some catchers who are active back there, moving the body around, trying to block balls in the dirt. And you think about Ryan Hannigan on the disabled list right now.
Well, right back into the screen. Came with a fastball.
Yeah, and guess what? Santana was on it. It tells you if he's on that, he's not going to be on this next changeup that's going to end this inning.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break right now.
Okay.
Headset off. We've already ended this inning.
Here we go. And he bounced it back, came back with a fastball.
Right. Well, listen, go to the changeup and get this thing over with. We got things to do.
Well, let's get through the 6th.
Yeah.
Finish this thing.
And that's how you do it. Santana, you know, he has not. We saw the swings or the swing on the changeup. The fastball, he stayed right on.
And a tapper left side, glove by Longoria. Throw to first, got him. And that retires the side. No harm done. They leave the bases loaded. We go to the 7th. 5-2 Tampa Bay. Boxberger got the final out in the bottom of the 6th, moving this game into the 7th. Holding on to a 5-2 lead, and Kevin Kiermaier opens the inning for the Rays. He has been on once and has scored a run. Takes the first pitch outside. Rays tonight facing right-hander Kyle Gibson. That would be something. Kyle Gibson on the hill, and there's a shot into right. That's going to be off the wall. Bounding back to Arcia, and they're going to hold Kiermaier to a single.
Consider that a small victory.
Yes.
Kiermaier able to get underneath this sinker here by Gibson and rope it out to right field. Hit it so hard, though, it comes off that wall hard, and Arcia able to keep Kiermaier to a single. Coming out of the box, always looking to go two. Cannot do that here.
Rays pick up their 9th hit. Kiermaier's back in. Opposition 3 of 5 in the running game with Gibson on the hill. Kiermaier 2 of 5 overall this year running. And a toss to first. He's back in. Matt Guerrero, a right-hander, up in the bullpen. Theobar, the lefty, has joined him. And the bunt pushed up the first base side. That's fair. So Kiermaier bunted up to second for the second time tonight. Jennings puts down the bunt to advance Kiermaier.
Yeah, we've seen this song and dance before. Kiermaier gets on Jennings. I think that bunt right there, Jennings wanted to push that between the pitcher's mound and first base, looked to bunt for a hit, but he got it up a little bit too strong right up the line, and that's what allowed the play to be made by Morales.
Well, that brings up Ben Zobrist, who homered his last time to give the Rays a little daylight.
And that was in a 3-1 count. He just continues to wait Gibson out. Also waited him his previous at bat, taking a walk.
Ron Gardenhire will wait no longer. He's headed to the mound with 1 out and a runner on. And Zobrist due. Twins make a pitching change. We'll return in a moment. Globe only available through the purchase of a Tampa Bay Times ticket tandem Friday, July 25th, when the Rays play the Red Sox. Proceeds of the snow globe benefit the Rays Baseball Foundation. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit raysbaseball.com/tandem. The veteran right-hander, 35-year-old Matt Guerrero, will take over on the hill with Ben Zobrist up, 1 on with 1 out. Guerrero making his 26th appearance. Kyle Gibson worked 6 1/3. The pitch, Zobrist takes a strike.
Well, not really surprising that Gardenhire would go to Guerrero here after the at-bats that Ben Zobrist was able to have off of Gibson. Really seeing the ball well off of him, working a walk and of course the home run in his last 2 at-bats.
Suzuki keeps that ball out in front of him, preventing an attempt by Kiermaier to go to third.
And also you keep Ben Zobrist hitting left-handed. From the right side, Ben Zobrist has been scorching.
Yeah, it's quite a difference, isn't it? He's up around, I think, 360 as a right-handed hitter.
Hey, you talk about flipping a switch hitter. Well, not when he's hitting that from the right side.
2-1. The particulars, he came into this game hitting .236 lefty and .344 from the right side. Now .352.
Well, and we're starting to see that patience of Ben Zobrist. You know, this is a guy that usually has a real good handle on his strike zone, doesn't leave it very often, forces the pitcher to come into it. Done a good job of that here tonight.
There's Kiermaier on second. He singled off the right field wall, was bunted into scoring position. 3-1 the count on Ben Zobrist. And he walks.
That was his 3rd straight at bat with a 3-1 count.
And he's drawn both walks given up by Minnesota pitching. Now the matchup will be Joyce and Guerrero. Gardenhire talks it over with Rick Anderson down there in the Twins dugout. Joyce takes the ball. Matt, interestingly enough, is 3 for 3. He's double, tripled, and homered in his career against Guerrero. Inside, 2-0. So if he picked up a base hit, he would have hit for the cycle in his first 4 at-bats against Guerrero. Two balls and a strike. Kiermaier at second, Zobrist at first. Swarzak, the right-hander, now busy. Guerrero steps back again.
We're not comfortable out there with Kiermaier at second base. Good speed.
Big cut and a miss by Joyce. 2-2.
Well, 90 miles an hour down and away with late movement. And Matt Joyce, he may have been a little bit quick on that swing too. Trying to be patient here. Put the ball in play.
Pops it up. That's going to carry out a play, forcing another 2-2 pitch. Joyce not only has a double, a triple, and home run in 3 official at-bats against Guerrero, but he's also drawn a walk. There's a 2-2 count against him here in the 7th. Count's going to go full. Ground ball. There's a base hit. Kiermaier heads to the plate. He will score. And the Rays add to their lead. It's now a 4-run game, 6-2. Kiermaier scores. Zobrist scampered to third. And Matt Joyce drives in the run. How about that for the start in a head-to-head matchup against a pitcher? He's now hit for the cycle in his first 4 at-bats against Guerrero. And here comes another pitching change after the base hit by Matt Joyce. Rays up by 4. Back with the new pitcher in a moment. With that 6th run across the plate, get 50% off at papajohns.com all day tomorrow. Use promo code RAYS6. And Joyce driving in a run in the 7th, making it 6-2. Anthony Swiatek, the new pitcher, 3rd of the night for the Twins now.
Well, on to try to slow down this Rays offense. He's on for the 30th time. 46 innings of work. Not a big strikeout guy with just 25. And he's logged a lot of appearances, a lot of innings here in the big leagues, a lot of experience. Tough spot here going up against Longoria. He already has a couple hits tonight.
Evan 2 out of 3, and the pitch to him is a strike. The big hit for Evan was the double with the bases loaded back in the 3rd inning.
That really got things going, and that came with 2 outs.
It's fouled back. 0-2. So Longoria now with 47 runs batted in on the year.
You know what? Why not just catch one clean here and make it an even 50? Nice way to start the post All-Star break schedule.
One ball, 2 strikes. The club record for runs batted in is 592, held by Carl Crawford, and Evan one behind that now, adding 3 here tonight. Out to second base. Dozier, Escobar 1, first base 2. They get a 4-6-3 double play. Rays get 1 in the 7th and lead 6-2. As promised earlier in the game, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to #SunSportsFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Brad Boxberger came on in the bottom of the 6th. Got the final out in that inning. Brian Dozier leads it off, and the pitch is a strike. Dozier, Morales, and then Plouffe. Two. And 2. Cobb worked 5 2/3, gave up 2 runs on 5 hits. Struck out a couple, walked 2, hit 2 tonight. 99 pitches before Boxberger took over. There's ball 2, 2-2. Kyle Gibson pitched 6 1/3. For Minnesota, gave up 6 runs on 9 hits. So the Rays in 2 starts against Gibson this year have 13 earned runs and 9 in the third innings off him. Full count to Dozier. And a cut and a miss. Dozier out on strikes.
Man, really, that was in between. Almost a BP fastball there by Boxberger. We've seen the fastball 94, 95, the changeup the low 80s, and this at 91, almost splitting the difference.
Kendrys Morales.
I think Joe Madden and Jim Hickey were trying to figure out what that was.
Yeah, there's Morales out in front of the changeup, a little more identifiable with the pitch that time.
Yeah.
Strike one. And again, 0-2.
How about that one at 79? And you know, that's where Boxberger gets you. It's the range between, you know, the miles per hour, that 94, 95 to 79, 80.
There's the range right there tonight. 79 to 95. And how about that? Couple change ups, and how about this?
Yeah, I mean, that's where Brad Boxberger can make you look foolish. And it's just so hard to cover them both because the 95 and the 79 look the same.
Yeah.
It's the same release point. It's the same spin on the baseball. It's the same arm speed. It's just the grip takes all of those miles per hour off, and it's just tough to time him up.
There's Trevor Plouffe, pitch up and in. Plouffe hit a home run back in the third, hit it out to left into the seats. Fan reached over the railing there. That ball was well gone, and there's some space between the wall and left and then the superstructure of the stadium here. In fact, there's some planters along that area that separates that, so a fan made the catch. Two outs, base is empty. A strike, and it's now 2-2. Take a look at that home run again. See, that's out of the field of play. And you see he reaches over into that space. There's an open space between the wall and the stands. Plouffe out on strikes, and just like that, Boxberger strikes out the side. We go to the 8th. Rays lead 6-2. Of the Tampa Bay Rays, and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Tampa Bay Rays. Rays with 6 runs, 10 hits tonight. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Twins. And as we move into the 8th, it will be James Loney to lead off. Loney 2 hits in this game. Singles in the 2nd and 3rd innings. Takes it for a ball. It's too low. The Rangers beat the Blue Jays 5-1 in Toronto, a final. Loney way up in the count now against Swarzak. 3-0. Yankees won their game. The Blue Jays have lost. 3-1. Liner into left. That's in for a base hit. Loney is 3 for 4.
Tell you what, you get predictable with James Loney in a bad count, and he's going to put a good swing on you, and he does here. Look at him just sit back there, very little stride, hands through the zone quickly, and a ball that's moving away from him, he'll just shoot it right out there into left field.
Kansas City's at Boston. It's 5-4 Boston. 2 outs in the top of the 9th. Omar Infante has just doubled. There's a long one down the right side, foul off the bat of Yunel Escobar. So the Royals have the potential tying run in scoring position with 2 outs at Boston. It's 5-4.
Who's up?
We're going to find out in a moment.
Screen refresh.
Eric Hosmer.
Oh,
ground ball to short. Escobar. Dozier 1 and over to first. 6-4-3. Yunel Escobar grounds into a double play started by Eduardo Escobar.
Eduardo Escobar, I'll tell you what, the Twins shortstop has been impressive. Very smooth out there. Pretty routine there, but you think about that double play that was turned the last half inning. Evan Longoria hits a bullet out to Brian Dozier at second, who flipped to Escobar, and he made a nifty throw back to first to complete that double play. He's looked good out there for Minnesota.
Want to know the count to Cole Figueroa. 3 ground ball outs for Cole tonight. Right back to the mound. Rays are out in the 8th. Bottom of the frame coming. 6-2 Tampa Bay.
as we head to the bottom half of the 8th inning. Don't forget, tomorrow on our Rays Live pregame show driven by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers, David Price on the mound. He's been here longer than any other Tampa Bay Ray, as he was here for the All-Star break, of course. That'll be tomorrow, beginning at 6:30 Eastern Time for a 6:10 Central, 7:10 first pitch. Then tonight after the game, Rays Live presented by Checkers will recap tonight's game. Rich Hollenberg, Orestes Estrada will host. Dwayne and BA with their thoughts. And I'll be down in the clubhouse gathering interviews, as always, the press conference with Joe Madden. Right now, let's go back up to the guys right above me, Dwayne and BA.
Look at you.
There's no telling where he's going to turn up.
He felt close.
Yeah.
He felt close.
He has this overriding presence, for sure.
It's like when Darth Vader knew that Obi-Wan Kenobi had entered the Death Star.
Yep.
That's him right there. Sans the overflowing coat, the sweet beard, and the lightsaber.
Yep. Man just alone with his thoughts.
Not for very long.
We go to the bottom of the 8th. Grant Balfour is on the hill now for the Rays. Arcia is going to lead it off, and the fastball to him is high. Oswaldo Arcia. A couple of ground ball outs and a fly ball back to the wall and left as last time. Two and 0.
What's the best thing that you could say about that pitch right there? That's just a slider that Grant held on to just a little bit too long.
The Rays have deepened Figueroa in that shift in shallow right field this time up. High foul. That's out of play.
Now it's all about maximizing your coverage. You want more fielders on that side of the field, and you got right here. You start to hone that in a little bit. You think about all the, well, maybe not.
Three and one.
My drawing was not keeping up with the movement of the camera. I apologize.
Hey, got to be fast.
Yeah. A little bit slow coming out of the break.
3-1, and it's popped on the left side. That's Longoria grabbing it. One out in the 8th. Josh Willingham.
You know, anyway, going back to that shift, you know, when you think about the way that it's played like that with Figueroa so deep, it's about maximizing the ground that you can cover. It's not only putting the fielders over there, but it's maximizing the ground that you can cover. And you see with the way that the Rays are playing it with Willingham, you can't put Escobar way out here because of obviously the throw, too long of a throw. And so you just run the picket fence right there. On the right side of the infield, you can do that depending on the speed of the runner at the plate. And so the slower the runner, the deeper that you can play Figueroa into the outfield, where he can still make the throw and be able to cover more ground. Can't do that when you're running the shift against a right-handed hitter on the left side.
There's a strike into Willingham, 1-2. Alfor's followed Cobb and Boxberger. Alex worked 5 2/3. Boxberger an inning and a third. Again, another one in the dirt. 2-2. Suzuki will be next. Red Sox held on to beat Kansas City 5-4. And a full count now on Willingham. There's Burton up in the bullpen. And a foul tip strikeout right back into the mid of Casali. 6 strikeouts for Rays pitching, 4 belonging to the bullpen.
Well, trying to get that slider to its perfect spot. He's able to do it right there. Just drop that thing on the outside corner, and a nice job by Casali to be able to hold on to that, the webbing of that glove, and the foul tip by Willingham to pick up that second out.
Here's the Minnesota catcher, Kurt Suzuki. Slider down and away. Baltimore starting the day leading the American League East. Check swing and a hopper. That's going to stay fair. Stepped on the bag, Loney. Suzuki is out of there first unassisted. On to the ninth, 6-2 Rays. Most Honda dealers and GCHondaDealers.com. Tires Plus. The plus is in everything we do. And by the Tampa Bay Times, the 2014 Pulitzer Prize winner for local reporting. With Brian Anderson and Todd Callis, Dwayne Stats back in Minneapolis. Rays opening the series here against the Twins. First game of 3 in Minnesota, the first of 5 on this road trip. Kurt Casali making his major league debut behind the plate for the Rays tonight. He's done a very nice job behind the plate and opened the Rays offense. He got a base hit to open the third, his first big league hit and his first major league at bat, and scored the first run. He'll open the 9th inning against Jared Burton, pitcher number 4 for the Twins tonight.
You know, you look at Kurt Casali's night behind the plate, and the great thing about it is you've noticed him when you were supposed to.
Yep.
And that's it. Other than that, he's been quiet and out of the way. The few times that he's needed to block a ball, keep a runner from moving up, you've noticed him then. But outside of that, he's been invisible. And that's exactly what you want out of your catcher.
Well, he's been impressive. One strike to count on him here in the 9th against Burton. 0-2. Burton at 6'5". He's in around 225. There's Jake McGee down there in the Rays bullpen.
Well, Joe Madden has a well-rested bullpen. Obviously, every manager in baseball has a well-rested bullpen. And that'll be interesting to see. We talked about the Rays' ability with their starting pitchers to shorten the game and get it to that bullpen. And that's what you're going to have to manage here the last couple of months of the season. Try to keep everybody fresh and sharp and strong.
Down the left side toward the corner. That's a foul ball. Boy, Casale just missed an extra base hit there.
A little bit too far out in front. Boy, he waits just a hair longer. He really drives this ball. This is off the end of the bat. And just a little bit too much hook. That close. My goodness.
Well, if you're a veteran in the big leagues, that ball stays fair.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's a shame. The youngster came close to his first extra base hit. It's it too high. It's 1-2. Two balls, two strikes. Down to third. Plouffe makes the throw to first. That's the first out in the ninth. There's Kevin Kiermaier. Kiermaier very easily could have been 3 for 3 as he steps in here. Fold made a nice catch on a line drive. He hit to left back in the third. A couple of base hits and 2 runs scored since then. Takes the pitch low. Ground ball outside the line, foul. Minnesota due to have Escobar, Fold, and Santana up in the bottom of the ninth. Jake McGee at the ready in the Rays bullpen right now.
You've got switch left, switch.
And strike called on the outside edge makes it 1-2.
I don't think for Jake McGee he much cares if you hit right-handed, left-handed. He's going to attack you the same way. That's with high quality power stuff.
Pop fly into center. Santana makes the grab. It's the second out of the inning. It'll be Desmond Jennings. Desmond's single came back in the third when he scored a run. He's put down a couple of sacrifice bunts. Slider stays in. 1 ball, no strikes. Two and 0. Lifted up the right side and back toward the stands. 2-1. Rays and the Twins tomorrow night. And then again on Sunday afternoon. And tomorrow night it'll be David Price and Phil Hughes in a great pitching matchup. Our coverage begins at 6:30. Two and two. Rays about hit the Twins 11-5. Full count. The Rays started the day 9 back, 9.5 behind Baltimore. There's ball 4. Rays started 9.5 back of Baltimore in the American League East. And since the first All-Star game back in 1933, only 5 teams have won the division after being at least 9.5 games out at the All-Star break. The 78 Yankees were 11.5 out, and the 2006 Twins were 11 back. Jennings back in at first. And another great run, the 1964 Cardinals were 10 games back, and they went on not only to win the National League pennant, but they beat the Yankees in the World Series.
That 2006 Twins team, 11 games back, they were in 3rd place. They were behind the White Sox and the Tigers. They went 49-27 in the second half to win the division by a game. So between those couple of examples right there, it's not out of the realm of possibility. And with the American League East appearing to be very weak, not appearing to be, it is very weak relative to what you normally think about the American League East. This is the year. If you're going to make a run, this is the year to do it.
Yep. And if the Rays are to entertain that idea, and there's very little margin for error, they're going to have to win each series. They're going to have to continue to get good pitching, that starting pitching, to go at least 6, which gives Joe Madden some latitude with his bullpen to rotate it to keep it fresh.
That'll be the key. As talented as they are, they're human beings. And you cannot wear them out.
Tapper, right side. That ball is foul, just foul. And the other thing, they're going to have to continue to get some offense. Here tonight, they've scored 6 runs. And as we mentioned at the outset, this last month's been pretty good for the Rays, but they've averaged around 4.5 runs a game. Well, that's what they're going to have to do.
Well, and you know, if you look at the breakout right now, I mean, the Angels leading the American League with just over 5 runs a game, and then everybody else is below that. 4.5 runs a game for the season would put you 4th in the American League. Yeah, that's pretty good. So they're on a nice run, but like you said, you got to continue it. And I think that if you get Evan Longoria back to the level that you expect him to be at, they should be able to do that, because he has not had, you know, the pre-All-Star break numbers that you would expect. And he understands that, takes responsibility for it, addressed that issue, and then just came out tonight and gave the Rays a quick 3 runs first time up.
Number off the mound is short. Escobar's throw to first in time. Rays leave a man. We got to the bottom of the 9th. Rays lead 6-2. Fox Sports 1. We and the Dodgers take on the Cardinals, followed by the Indians battling Miguel Cabrera and the Tigers. Coverage begins at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Jake McGee on the hill. He is pitcher number 4 for the Rays. Cobb, Boxberger, and Balfour. Balfour worked an inning, picked up a strikeout. And now Jake makes his 46th appearance.
50 strikeouts, 41 in the third innings to go along with just 9 walks. That has been the most impressive thing about Jake McGee this year. The numbers have been great. He has been remarkably consistent. Scoreless outings in 41 of the 45 games that he has appeared in. But it has been the improved command that has led to these numbers. He is really adept at moving the fastball around the zone. Not just a brain dead, here it is 95 to 99. But spotting it, using both sides of the plate and working down in the zone as well as up.
So here's Eduardo Escobar. It's inside. Cut the miss at the fastball. It's 1-1. Nunez on deck. Fold is due to hit. It'll be Nunez next. Deep short, backhanded by Escobar. Throw to first, safe. Eduardo Escobar beats the play in. He has an infield hit to start the inning.
Now the ball was not scalded into the hole, and Yunel Escobar a little trouble with the plant and get enough on the throw as he backhands right here, kind of stiff-legged as he throws that ball across at one hop slowly, and Escobar able to hustle. See, he really wasn't able to step and dig into that throw.
Eduardo Nunez now to pinch hit for Fold. This pitch is a strike. Team playing without Joe Mauer, who has an oblique issue, and they're thinking that maybe sometime in the next week or so he'll be hitting off a tee. So they're not certain about his return. Foul ball back. Coming into this one, the Twins had won 6 of their last 10 leading up to the All-Star break, including their last road trip, in which they went 5-2. Nunez out on strikes. And that is out number 1.
Well, just not able to get it started quick enough against the McGee fastball at 97. Watch him just power this right by. No chance.
Now Danny Santana. Santana 1 out of 4. That's from the right side this time. He looks at a fastball in for a strike at 96.
Well, I think all these guys, guys coming out of the bullpen, guys getting a chance to, obviously everyday players, always anxious to dip your feet back in after the All-Star break. 4 days without baseball, a lot of times just a day off. Coming back, you feel like a fish out of water. But after 4 days, guys are anxious to get back and get playing again, get that first outing under their belt. And really with the condensed schedule left, 97 games in, 65 games left. You got to crank it up right away.
Escobar moved up on indifference. 2 strikes the count to Santana. And that takes care of Santana. Out number 2. 2 strikeouts after the infield hit.
Yeah, 2 strikeouts of just Jake McGee overpowering hitters. Both Nunez and Santana with 2 strikes. They do not cut down their swing, and that does not bode well when you're trying to catch up to an upper 90s fastball.
So here is Brian Dozier, 0 for 3 with a couple strikeouts in his career against McGee. And now Jake starts him with a strike. Dozier singled and scored back in the 3rd. And late on that one in at 97.
Jake gave up the infield hit and then just took it to another level. So that's enough messing around. Here comes the hard stuff. It's been one after the other.
And a cut the miss. He's out on strikes to end this one. So McGee strikes out the side after that infield hit to put an end to this one in the 9th. For Minnesota, no runs a hit and 1 man left. Rays take game 1 of this series. It's a 6-2 final. Alex Cobb will pick up the victory, followed to the mound by Boxberger, Balfour, and McGee. The Rays got offense tonight in the form of a bases-loaded double from Longoria in the 3rd, 2-run home run in the 5th by Ben Zobrist, and an RBI single for Matt Joyce in the 7th inning, en route to this victory, 6-2. So the Rays win their 45th game of the year.